I just went ahead and hit that record button. I want to thank you guys so much for being here. It means a lot to me. And before we get started, of course, thank you for being here. But we're talking all about confidence building today. Confidence building. Over my years of experience, I've come to learn that one thing that really separates my quote unquote winners from the losers is really the amount of confidence that they have within themselves. But what I want to start out by telling you is that although we're talking about confidence and although I am the one talking to you about confidence, I have not always been confident. I have not always had the audacity to speak to people, to show people who I really am. So we're going to have a moment here that's going to be very vulnerable, but I think it's going to be a learning lesson for you guys. So I know that my catchphrase, or what you guys hear me say all the time, is that I teach people how to look good naked. And that's because it really is what I do. But if you think about that, just listen to what it says. It says, I just want to teach people how to look good naked. But if I say that to someone who doesn't understand my passion and who doesn't understand the big picture that I have, to them, it's a laughing matter. And to them, it's okay, big deal. But to me, I'm saving lives. To me, I'm giving people confidence, and I'm instilling power, and I'm instilling motivation, and I'm inspiring people. So no matter what it is that you want to do in this life, you have to understand that when you say it, you've got to say it in such a fashion that you genuinely believe it. There are people out here who sell little girls bows for little girls, making millions of dollars. I've got a friend who's a plumber. He says, and he tells me this all the time, he says, Justin, I deal with shit for a living and they pay me millions of dollars a year to do it. And I smile about it. And I'm thinking to myself, it is what it is, but that's his passion. He loves seeing people smile. He's got a great knack for the business. But when you hear him say, I deal with shit for a living, like, oh, he believes in what he's doing though. He believes in his product. So even with me, there was a time when I didn't quite believe in who I was and what I was capable of delivering to the world. I had people who told me that, but until I genuinely started believing it for myself, things just didn't quite feel right for me in my life. So what we're going to be talking about today are what causes self-doubt. I'm going to teach you some things of how to stop procrastinating and start taking action now. We'll talk about how to set goals and achieve them. And then we'll talk about how to build your self-value, your confidence, and your self-worth. Now, as we get started, I want you to write down, or at least mentally think about, 3 things that you're self-conscious about. What is it? Is it your body image? Is it your socioeconomic status? Is it poor relationships? Is it maybe you're a poor communicator, but you wish that you were able to deliver your message with such poise and such elegance and such grace that people had no choice but to listen to you. Maybe you're a little bit self-conscious about your artwork and you're a painter, but you want to know, well, what would it be like if I could create artwork that would just make people stop in awe and just make them move with such emotion when they looked at my work? What if? So just think of those 3 things, whatever it is for you, and let's think about those as we go along. So what causes self-doubt? Well, one thing without a shadow of a doubt is our belief system. When it comes to your belief system is built and is constantly reinforced by the things that are around you. So the way that you view life and the things that happen to you are in direct proportion to your belief system. So the very first thing in creating massive amounts of confidence is genuinely believing that you are, first off, worthy of achieving that level of success. Okay, you need to write this down. It's something that you genuinely believe that you are worthy of it. Some people are so cynical and they're so so caught up in bashing themselves and having these negative self-talks and constantly reinforcing that they're not able to do something, that they don't ever take enough time to instill the fact that, or develop enough reasons as to why they can do something. And then we have to look at your surroundings, because the very things that are around you will either enable you or disable you from achieving these high levels of confidence. If you are constantly around people who are bogging you down, who are tying rocks to you when you're trying to fly, who are constantly giving you negativity when you're trying to be positive, if you're constantly surrounding yourself around those sorts of people, how can you ever truly achieve or truly expect to achieve these new levels of massive success? So you have to first believe that you're worthy, believe that it's possible, and then we've got to start putting forth the actions of creating a surrounding that's going to manifest this greatness. I was not raised in a positive environment. I had to seek positive things outside of my own environment. How did I do that? I found mentors. I started looking and reading, looking for material and audio books and books that were going to help me shift my thinking. Think and Grow Rich. That's a great book. The Alchemist. That's a wonderful book. The 10X Rule by Grant Cardone. That's a great book. I started diving deep into things like that, and I started allowing those things to create a new belief system for myself. A new belief system that said, I can do it because I've seen it done. The reason that I didn't believe that I could be where I am right now is because I hadn't seen it. So I had to go out and start looking for it. The reason that some of you aren't achieving massive levels of success is because you haven't started to set your eyes on something that is bigger than you. You've got to use the power of visualization. You've got to learn how to set your sights on something so big and so massive that you do everything possible to get there. But one of the reasons that you're not getting there right now is because of our little friend procrastination. How many of you have been visited by our friend procrastination from time to time? I know I can certainly attest to telling y'all that good old friend procrastination takes up residence over here in this house sometimes. As much as I don't want him to, he keeps coming back. He's like crabs. He just comes back and then he spreads everywhere. He spreads it. You know how he spreads? He spreads with phone calls and text messages and emails and, oh no, I've got to go do this. But y'all, we gotta let procrastination go. Okay? Let's let procrastination go. He's not welcome here anymore. That's an abusive relationship, okay? But let me tell you what else procrastination is often disguised as. Procrastination is often a safety mechanism that's used to keep you in your comfort zone because you're afraid of the pain and the rejection that may come if you choose to achieve the highest levels of your potential. And it's something subconscious sometimes. Sometimes it's very, very subconscious, and it can appear to be very naive, and it can appear to be very innocent. Because we all have done it. It happens to me too. A simple text message turns into a YouTube video that turns into 3 hours later. I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, how did this happen? That's distraction, but it's also the fact that procrastination occurred to get you there in the first place. So surroundings, again, going back to that, can enable or disable your success. Now, when it comes to procrastinating, I have now turned off all notifications when I have a large project due. I write down everything. Listen, when I tell you that I write things down, look at this. You guys just saw me on Periscope a minute ago making a written list. I've got all kind of iPads and gadgets around me. I could be making all kind of electronic lists, but that's not what I want to do. It needs to be written. Why? Because scientifically it's been proven that you retain that information that you write down 80% more than if you simply verbalize it, and you're going to get it lost in the shuffle if you try to keep it in notes on your phone or on some sort of electronic device. How many of you equate your iPad or your laptop or your cell phone with work or stress? I do sometimes, and that can make it difficult when you want to get work done. Because if I associate my iPad with work or with stress, I may not want to go deal with it, even though it's got my list in it. And with today's days and age, I just like to keep written paper on me. So I make a list of everything. I turn off notifications. Do not bother me when I'm over here trying to create my empire. Procrastination, go home. Go somewhere else. Bother somebody else right now. I'm busy. And that goes for friends and family too. I do not allow people to bog me down with their mess. These are all different ways that procrastination can rear its ugly head. But I'm telling you, what I think has truly saved me is making lists and then sticking through and sticking true to those lists. But procrastination does not take up residence here. So I want you to think of 3 things that you do on a regular basis that you procrastinate with. So what do? Do you not exercise when you know you should? Are you not financially planning for your future like you know you should? Like you keep saying you hate this job. You keep saying you don't want to go to this thing every day. Well, what if you had enough finances that you didn't have to go to that job every day? I mean, I'm just asking some questions, just what if? So what is it bookkeeping? I wrote bookkeeping specifically for me because I don't like it. And I just don't trust my assistants to do it. And I just don't like it, but I need to do it every day, but I don't. That's something I'm working on though. Now, what would be different in your life if you did these 3 things on a consistent basis? What would be different? If you started financially planning every single day, what would be different? In what regard? How so? And how would that make you feel? If I started bookkeeping every single day on a consistent basis, knowing how much I dislike it, knowing how much I hate it, how would that change my business? How would that make me feel after I started developing that habit? And now the one thing that I started hating started becoming something that was just the normal for me. Now let's talk about how to set those goals. When it comes to setting goals, we talked earlier about visualization. And visualization is the number one power, it's the number one key, it's the number one method that anyone could achieve in terms of setting a goal and achieving it. So when it comes to visualization, I want you to envision the one thing that is beyond everything else that would make you feel like you are the person that you wanted to become. And I want it to be something that is even outside of a physical something. I want you to take it down deeper and let's go towards a feeling. What would it feel like to step out of the car you deserve, owning the business you desire, being in the relationships that you deserve? What would that feel like? Now, and it's good to know what it looks like if you want to get that technical, because mine is a dark blue Bentley. I'm just saying, if you want to get that deep with it. But what does that feel like for me? The reason that I go for feeling is because even though that's a material thing, that material thing is a resemblance of the value that I have instilled in this earth. So for me, it continues to it continues to reaffirm everything that I'm doing. I need to continuously pump value into this world. I need to continuously give things so that the world will give me what I want. Hello, Dark Blue Bentley. Got a couple mansions on the way. Hey. But you guys see what I'm saying there. That's the power of visualization. So what is it for you? Is it a dream body? Is it a certain amount in a bank account? Is it certain relationships? For me, I'll tell you something else. Another reason that I want to have massive amounts of success is because I want to be able to give back to people who have given to me. Les Brown is one of my mentors from the way. I would love to be able to fly on my private jet and meet with him. That's huge. That's wonderful. I'm going to make that happen. That's the power of visualization. Now, something else that I've come to learn is keeping a growth mindset. You know, a lot of us get stuck in we get stuck when it comes to visualization. We get stuck. We'll see, we'll just say the private jet. So we see the private jet and we're overwhelmed with how we're going to get there. Don't worry about the how. Just keep your goals in mind. Keep that feeling in mind. Don't worry about the how, okay? Just don't worry about that. If you don't worry about the how, you're going to give your brain so many new options. You will be on a constant search for the next big thing that you won't have time to even worry about failing. Failing won't even be an option because you'll be so busy looking for everything else. That is just how my brain is programmed now. And I keep that because of a default mindset of gratitude. By default, when things start getting stressful, I go to a place that tells me that every single bit of stress that I have in my life is accumulated because of something that I have done to get there. So when I start thinking about what I've done, let me tell you guys how happy I get when I think about some of the stresses in my business. I quit a job that paid me very well. I literally walked in one day, for those of you who don't know the story, I literally walked in one day and just quit. I didn't mean to quit. My subconscious spoke for me. I didn't have a savings account. I didn't have any sort of steady income. I just quit because it wasn't fitting me. From that moment forward, my life has been in this spiral of awesomeness. But I had to take that step forward and I had to be willing to make something happen. Because of that, because I made a choice, a definitive decision that nothing and no one could steal my happy, my brain started constantly looking for every single method, every single thing that could possibly relate to me achieving my massive goals of success. Every single time I wanted to fail, I simply could not. Even when my bank account was on zero and I was crying in my condo, wondering how I was going to make things happen, I would get a mysterious email. I would get a phone call from somebody. Some divine client of mine would come back to me and say, Justin, I want to book you for this. Somebody would call me and say, Justin, will you speak for this? Because I made the opportunity happen. I kept that default mindset of gratitude. I kept my brain open and I keep a growth mindset. If I had kept myself in this little box of thinking that I needed a 9-to-5, I needed a good paying job to hold me down, where would I be? I wouldn't be here speaking to you. I wouldn't have amassed thousands of people who rely on me to help them. I wouldn't have passive income. I wouldn't be a public speaker. I wouldn't be sought after. I wouldn't have the opportunity to move and travel around the world if I had stayed in my little box of believing that I needed some little job to keep me secure. So because you keep that growth mindset, your brain starts looking for new things for you. Now, tip number 3 here of setting goals is practicing failure. That is something that I pride myself on. And I'll tell you when I started developing this. There was a man, I believe, I listened to a lot of Zig Ziglar, and I think it was him who said he used to pride himself on how many no's he could get in a single day. And I thought to myself, I was like, that doesn't make any sense because you keep going to all of these people and they keep telling you no, dude. Like, they don't want what you're selling, obviously, man, duh. And then I thought to myself, well, wait a minute. The couple of yeses that he did get were obviously the right ones. They were obviously the ones he needed. And because he kept going, even though he was receiving a bunch of no's, those yeses put him in front of me. Those yeses made him an 8-figure earner. Those yeses made him a world-renowned name. So then I started thinking to myself, how dare I settle for a few no's? No, I mean, I'm serious, and I want you to think about that with your lifestyle. How dare you settle for a few no's? There are people out here who are waiting. They are waiting on you to get your shit together, to give them the gifts that you have only given to you. And it doesn't matter what those gifts are. You guys have to understand that every single person serves their purpose. People who take care of horses, equestrians, hairstylists, barbers, the woman at the cash register at your grocery store, every single person has a purpose. But the people who are filling their purpose and the people who are the most successful are the people who have the confidence, the gall, the audacity to go forward with what they know to be right. And that's you guys. This is a very important slide. Setting those goals and achieving them, you guys. Start with that visualization. Keep a growth mindset. Don't be so rigid in your approach. And then you've got to practice failure. And that practice failure is low key. That's me telling you to get your shit together. That's really me telling you to put the boot to your butt, because you've got to get out and practice this thing. It's that thing that you're afraid of, where that's where your treasures are. That one person that you're afraid to go and talk to, that one company that you're afraid to reach out to, that one word you're afraid to say to that friend. That one word may end up making you the next Eon Van Zandt. You never know. You may end up saving your friend's life. Your friend may end up becoming Oprah, and then what? Practice failure. Set goals and achieve them. Start understanding and placing very high value on your self-worth, on your self-value, because your self-esteem and your self-confidence come from that. When I say set self-worth and high self-value, I'm talking about making your time precious. Don't allow people to abuse you. Don't allow people to manipulate you and run over you and cause you to feel some type of way. Don't allow people to tell you that your dreams are foolish or they're stupid or they're too small. Don't allow people to disqualify you, because those people are not qualified to teach you the things that you need to learn for your journey. Your self-worth and your self-esteem are directly they fall right in line with your confidence. When your confidence raises, you will stop allowing people to run over you. You will stop allowing your bank account to sit so dry. You will stop allowing fat to accumulate around your body, because confidence is key, but you have to know your self-worth. You have to know your self-value. Speaking of self-confidence and boosting your body, you all know exactly what it feels like to look in the mirror and feel happy about the person who looks back at you. You know what that's like. You have to take effects now, or you have to take take steps now, starting on your outside. It will also affect your inside. If you don't like your smile, go and get braces. If you don't like your hair, get it fixed. If you don't like your skin, do what it takes to clear your skin up. If you don't like your weight, do what's necessary to drop the pounds that are going to help you become, or to feel like, the person that you want to become. Whatever it is about yourself that you don't like, you have the power to fix it. Your self-worth and your self-value are reliant upon it. I think that every single person can agree. You don't even have to be in fashion to agree that if you are wearing something that just feels good to you, you walk different. You do. You walk. You know you do. You know you do. I know I do. Let me find the good pair of jeans that I think I look good in. And let me find the good shirt that looks all right. What? You know, think about what that feeling would be like to have it just all the time. All the time. And not even just with clothes. Walking into board meetings or walking into your job, just knowing that I am confident. This is me. So what? You own your own business. That's good. Knowing that I signed into the wrong account. I signed into the wrong account, you guys. So we're gonna have to end this in 5 minutes, and then I'm gonna email you a link for a new webinar code. I am so sorry, you guys. I have 2 accounts. One is paid, one is free. I signed in with the wrong account. Okay, nonetheless, but we're almost on the last slide. So it'll be good to come back with the question and answer anyhow. Okay. So setting goals and achieving them, setting your self-worth, your self-value, that self-esteem, and building your self-confidence. But going back to what we just briefly discussed, you all know exactly what it feels like, though, to have a hair or fix your hair, have your makeup look good, and just feel some type of way. That's the type of confidence that you should start carrying with yourself all the time. You should know that no matter what it is in life, you're confident in what is going forward. Now, the best tip that I can give you in terms of boosting your self-confidence is, of course, strengthening yourself in whatever the area is that you feel weak in. That was in one of the slides earlier. If you feel like you're weak in finances and that's something that's holding you back, go and hire a financial counselor or seek out financial help. Not all of us were born learning how to create passive income. Not all of us were born taught how to handle money. Money is a foreign object for some people. So is food. It's foreign for some people. But then they expect you guys to learn how to keep your health optimal and keep your bank account above E. But they don't teach you these things. Now, as we close, you guys, and move on to the question and answer, one of the last things that I want you guys to understand is this. This is probably the most important thing that I can say throughout this class. It's important to remember that not everyone is going to walk your journey with you. Okay? The many times people will not understand why you're doing the things that you're doing, but you have to recognize that your journey isn't meant for other people to understand. You have gifts that only you can bring to the world. Ideas, evaluations, insight, perspectives, laughter, unique approaches, creativity, art, hope, and inspiration. All of those things require your unique contribution in order to leave change in this world. What if Barack Obama had decided that no black man would ever be president? What if Michelle Obama had decided no black person was ever going to be in the White House in her capacity? What if they decided that it just didn't really matter, that they couldn't change history, there was nothing that they could do? There was something in them that kept pushing forward so that we could be here, so that history could be changed. You are wrong in your belief if you don't believe that there's something powerful and unique and magical and mystical within you that could quite possibly transform this entire universe. You guys have to understand, with the way my lifestyle is set up, with the way my past is set up, I'm not supposed to be here talking to you guys right now. I'm not supposed to be teaching you the way that I'm teaching you. I'm supposed to be a Baptist preacher who preaches to the choir, who sings every Sunday, who has a wife and 2 kids in a White House with a picket fence, and I'm supposed to be driving a luxurious car, and I'm supposed to have master's degrees from the highest levels of religious schools. I'm supposed to be a spitting image of some people in my family. But I am more fulfilled, and I have more power within myself doing the things that I want to do, which is being here, serving you guys, teaching you, giving you the things that I wish people had given to me. I have friends who sell tea. I have friends who do sell little girls' bow ties in their hairs. I have friends who are plumbers. I have friends who are electricians. All of them are millionaires. These are all trades. And none of my friends went to school. Steve Jobs. And the list could go on and on and on. If I had listened to my family who told me that I needed to be a master in something, that I needed to have my doctorate, if I had listened to them, I wouldn't be the person that I am right now. But I had to have the audacity. I had to have the courage and the confidence to say, you know what? That's for you guys. That's your box that you live in because that's your truth. But I can't allow you to place your truth on me because I know that I have insight, ideas, perspectives, laughter. I have unique approaches. There's creativity in my body. There's art. I can give hope and inspiration to a world that only I can do. And if I do things your way, the world won't see it my way. All right, you guys, stand by. I'm going to send you a link for our question and answer. Check your emails. I'll be sending it in just 1 second, guys. I'm so sorry.